Benfica Podcast is one of the founding members of Benfica Independent. Benfica Independent is an independent platform made by fans for fans, and in it, you can find our podcast along with many other podcasts, along with articles of opinion, video segments, and much, much more. We're also on patreon.com/Benfica Independent with exclusive contents for our patrons.
Hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo. Sí, es un club que tiene una grandeza que no se comprende si no estás aquí dentro.
São de uma magia única, benfiquista, que só nós sentimos assim. Por muitos desgostos que possamos ter, valores mais altos se levantam. E o valor mais alto que se levanta em termos futebolísticos chama-se Benfica.
Quero o Benfica intimidar o adversário. Quero o manto sagrado entrar com vocês em qualquer estádio e assustados, pá! É isso que eu quero!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica podcast. My name is Alfredo Fumaças. Here we are every Tuesday night or Wednesdays, depending on the mood. We are here bringing you the latest and greatest. With me, as always, Dave de Oliveira. What's happening, Dave?
What's going on, Alfredo? I've already see a couple of Freddies in the chat mentioning a therapy session. I don't know if that's going to be the vibe here tonight. Maybe after Saturday's game, it would have been definitely a therapy session and talking a couple of people off the bridge there. But
yeah.
Hey, we got a victory here today. So
yeah, I think the victory today.
I'll be the positive Cristiano tonight on the podcast.
Yeah, the victory today definitely helped dampen a little bit of what we were feeling, right? But we'll get into it a little bit. There's a black square where Cristiano usually is. He is obviously today is Halloween here in the U.S. and some more countries, and as a result, Chris with small children, he might be a little late joining us. But yeah, if he gets here, he gets here. But for now, it's just me and Dave. Wanted to say hello to all the Freddies. Carpe Diem was first one in. Well, I don't know if he was first one in, but certainly the first one to put a comment on the chat here. Carpe Diem, Emelo, Diogo Reis, Zach Silva, Davy Hen, Jason Gaidola, Chico Morcelino, here he is. And that's the folks that have joined us. Welcome. Let us know if the sound is okay. But here we are. On tonight's agenda, we will recap the Casa Pia game. We'll also recap the Arouca game for the Taça da Liga. And we will look ahead to Benfica's next game against Chaves, which comes up this weekend. Hope everybody's well. Hope for any of you that celebrate Halloween, hope that went well. Watch out, don't eat too much candy. Sugar is bad for you, but I guess you should enjoy it. It's Halloween after all. Steal those candies from your kids. So yeah,
everything in moderation.
That's right. So let's while we wait for Cristiano, I don't know if Cristiano is going to join us or not. Certainly. I texted him a little bit before. It was like maybe 10 to 9, a quarter to 9, to ask him how he was doing. He said, I'm just getting in the car to go home. But earlier today, I said, there's no way you're going to be able to be on a podcast because kids are going to go trick-or-treating. They're going to get that sugar rush. You're going to have a really hard time putting them down. So I don't expect them to come in, but I left a little window there on the broadcast just in case he join us to throw him over there. But yeah, me and Dave have navigated this plenty of times. We'll be here. We'll do the job that's expected of us. So Dave, let's start with this Casa Pia game. I'll give the lineup and then we'll get started. Trubin was in goal. Auschnes, Silva, Otamendi, and Bernat. Tino and Neves in the middle. João Mario, Neres, Rafa underneath Cabral. We found out that Musa had amygdalite, which I believe is a sore throat, semi-cold type of thing. Ba and Kokshu hurt. Ba still dealing with that injury that he brought from the national team. Kokshu apparently has plantar fasciitis, Dave, which is extremely painful and uncomfortable.
Never a good thing to have here. Like we said, that's not a one game take off. That's a full rest and recovery for that. It sounds something so minor, but definitely painful for whoever's experienced it. So no cockshoe for the time being, at least.
Yeah, yeah. So and the funny thing is, and I was just saying this to you, Dave, as we were about to come on live, was that both of those guys played against Real Sociedad. So not even they weren't at 100%, I'm sure. They were already suffering from these injuries, and yet they were playing Real Sociedad. And Kokshu clearly debilitated by something, which we didn't know at the time. I think that even in a flash interview, he walked in a flash interview and he was limping after the game. So look, we talk about things here all the time about what our feelings and what our decisions or what Roger Schmidt's decisions should be and plans and tactics should be. But the truth of the matter is that we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, right? We don't know how hurt these guys are, how debilitated they are, if they can give their contribution, what kind of percentage, more or less, are they at that's acceptable for them to be a choice. And we certainly saw it in today's lineup, which we'll get into a little bit, but certainly how much of today's change of tactics are a result of not having guys available and having to change things up a little bit. I mean, we all know that something needs to change, right? Because the team just hasn't been what they were last year. And granted, we all spoke about the three crucial players that the team has lost. We spoke about the $70 million that we invested on players, only to so far them being, bums, as Cristiano likes to say. But at the end of the day, we don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. There's information that Roger Schmidt and the rest of his technical staff are privy to that we're not. We don't know the extent of the injuries. We don't know what players are going through what. So it's for us, fans that don't have this type of insight, it's very easy to point fingers and say, well, you should do this and you should do that. When at the end of the day, we don't have all the information. We don't have all the information. So it's hard for us to make those assessments. And it's much easier to say, oh, yeah, you take this guy, you put this guy here, and you change this guy, you change this formation, and it should work. But not having all the information and all the details from the medical staff and even from the guys that assess the players on a daily basis, the coaches, it's hard for us to make determination, Dave.
Yeah, but I want to look at these injuries as kind of a positive way, and maybe giving some of these other guys a look at where we know Roger is very stuck in his ways with his 11 that he likes to pick in week in and week out. But a guy like Florentino, for example, where we were clamoring that he should be getting some minutes here and there, and Kokshu going down is an opportunity for Florentino, right? So I'm going to put a positive spin on it and say that hopefully with these injuries that allows other guys to step up to the plate and really make their most out of these minutes that they're giving.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's guys that are French players that wouldn't otherwise get minutes, like Thiago Gouveia, for example, right? And we will discuss him a little later when we talk about today's game. But certainly it's an opportunity for those guys to shine. And a lot of those guys, you give them the opportunity and they don't always take advantage of the opportunity. But look, as long as the opportunity is there, like our old coach used to say, o cavalo passa a porta uma vez. That's what Rui Vitória used to say. So you better get on that horse. But anyway, let's get into this game. Sloppy first half by Benfica. First 30 minutes, another struggle, trying to get something going. Good. The last 10, Benfica pushed, and that's when they got a goal by João Mario, which is, I'm surprised that Benfica doesn't get more shots out, long distance shots, and not this one was a long distance shot, but certainly the shot was there, and João Mario took it rather than look for a teammate or look for a little cheeky combination to get the ball in front of the goal and get a better position. But certainly one of those shots that the ball jumps up and you hit it squarely and you make it dip into the far corner, and there it was. And it's something that we spoke about here in previous podcasts is the fact that João Mario and Gonçalo Ramos, João Mario especially, he had a career game last season in terms of his goal-scoring output. So the fact that he hasn't been scoring this year is also not helped us, right? So the goals are coming from elsewhere, but not from João Mario, which he was a big influence, a big factor for us last season. But he got the goal. And Dave, I thought going into the half, up 1-0, after that struggle, we're thinking, okay, we got one, go into the locker room, just clear your minds, come back a little bit more relaxed, not with the same pressure. Because after that Real Sociedad game, what we wanted was a response from the team, right? Because that was atrocious, right? So Casa Pia, worst defense, I forget what the stat was. It was either worst defense or
No,
they didn't score. They didn't score many goals, right, or something like that.
They didn't score many goals, but had the second best defense behind Porto, if I was not mistaken. So, and which we could see in this game, anyways. They were a very well organized team behind the ball. Didn't really give us too many headaches going forward, but they were. You got to give a tip of the cap to Casa Pia because they were definitely organized and prepared. For us in this match.
And it's something that, look, if you've seen the amount of coaches that have come out of the Portuguese league, we know that Portuguese coaches have definitely taken a step up in terms of the education that they're receiving now, how they approach the game, the way they read the game. There's a lot of good coaches in Portugal, and albeit some of them mid-range, but they know how to read games, they know how to study teams, they have good technical staffs, good scouts, and they know how to prepare games, especially to play a team like Benfica, who is shown to have struggled in terms of how they put together a good performance, which they haven't in a long time, and we've been seeing this since the Estoril game. Even some of the earlier games that we played against Mancos, we've gotten away with a lot of things. Yes, we beat Porto, but one of the games we got lucky. Porto definitely outplayed us in one of the games. But certainly these are things that we started seeing, and I mentioned this on a podcast last week. It can't be all doom and gloom, right? After all, we were in second place. We're 1 point off first place, and despite the terrible Champions League campaign that we're having, we're pretty good in domestically, right? But so it's not all doom and gloom. But the thing is that when you see the trend in which the team has shown in terms of form and performance, in the past 3-4 games, you know where this is headed. We've seen this movie before, and we know the ending, and it doesn't end well. So against this Casa Pia, it was another struggle. It was another struggle. Came back in the second half. Casa Pia a lot more assertive in the second half. Came out to play, obviously being down. Trubin PK save in the 53rd minute. Tino with a careless tackle, and that is a very, very high risk tackle by Tino. The outside foot is always the foot that you're going to be able to get the momentum and sweep your leg and be able to get that tackle in. But when you go with the inside foot, you better be sure that you're going to get to the ball first without contact. And using your inside leg, which is the leg that's closest to the player and closest to the ball, obviously, there's always a chance that if you mistime it, you are going to foul the player, and that's what Tino did. And after all the clamoring, we got to have Tino, 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 for a player to make a mistake like that now could have compromised the result had it not been for Trubin's save. It was not a comfortable position. And Dave, as I was mentioning, when I saw that and I saw Trubin save the penalty, I said, "Wow, we dodged the bullet." Yeah, what were your thoughts after that? You think, well,
Yeah. No, I shared the same feelings as you. I said that should have given the boys a kick in the ass, like they just got bailed out by Trubin once again. Two penalties already two penalties saved this season. Looks like we really got a keeper back there. But
yeah,
if that didn't get the boys going to try to get a second goal, I don't know. They just had it in cruise control that whole second half and really never looked to have anything going up front there. And then you have Jurasek come in, and Casa Pia, credit to them again, they start attacking that side and ultimately get the goal there in the 81st minute. But this team just looked like they had no motivation, no creativity, just doing the bare minimum up front. And these are one of the games where that's gonna bite you in the ass, right? And I'm sure there's Freddies out here that are ready to point the finger at Roger, but how many times, and I'm not saying that the criticism isn't warranted, but how many times and how many podcast seasons have we done where it seems like the same, I don't even want to say the same group of guys, because some of these guys are definitely newer and older guys have left, but it seems like there's always just this malaise around the team at this time of the season or after a championship season. There's just always some sort of malaise and no urgency from this team. So I don't know what it is. I wish I did, and we don't have to deal with this every year, but God, I really hope we're not at the beginning of a really bad scary movie here on as we're recording this on Halloween. But we've seen, like you said, we've seen the ending before, and it's not a pretty ending. So I hope somebody's able to switch the script here for us.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it's like a dark cloud that takes over the team, and the team can't shake whatever spell they're under. They can't shake it off. And it's as a spectator and as a fan, right? For us that follow the team and take the time out to watch the team every weekend, when you are sitting on your couch watching this and you're thinking, man, this is bad. This is really, really bad. To the point that you start having flashbacks. You start flashbacks to the Rio Vitória days. You start getting flashbacks to the Bruno Lage days, to the Verissimo days, to the JJ days, second stint, obviously. But it's like one of those things, man, that you're like, I don't know what's going on with this team, what kind of funk they're in, that they just can't seem to shake it. And certainly watching this second half and how poor they were and not putting the game away, um, you know, and it ends up coming. They came down to our box, and they had a Jurasek who'd come in from Bernat, who apparently is still not good to play the whole 90 minutes. Jurasek came in 64th minute. Ball gets played over Jurasek. He's caught flat-footed. He's not able to defend. There's a really close range shot at Trubin, and Trubin could have done a lot better, right? That's a 5-hole save in the first post. You can't give up a goal like that at the first, or the near post, I should say. It was not good. But at the end of the day, when you look at everything that had transpired and how you were feeling in the game, and the fact that you can't close out the game, that you can't put the few opportunities that you're creating away, you're just going to put pressure on a defense to be there every time for you and to be able to shut it down. And understanding the fullbacks that we have, both on the right side and left side, albeit Arshness does an okay job when he's on the right side. He's still not a natural defender. So Jurasek got beat. Benfica gives up the goal, and now all of a sudden there's a sense of urgency for this team to really get on their horse and chase this result. Why couldn't this sense of urgency be there from the first or the whistle for the second half? Because you got to put this away. You got to respond after the Real Sociedad performance, and you got to send a message to the fans that, look, we're still here, we're working hard. I know we haven't done the best, but we're going to keep plugging in and getting those 3 points, regardless of good, bad, or indifferent. We're going to grab the 3 points, and this just wasn't the case. And the fact that now there's a sense of urgency to chase the result, you got to wonder, Dave, where was this sense of urgency to start the second half or to even put the game away? It's just you can't just. It's either you're in and you're locked in and you're all in terms of what your objective is, or you have a switch that you could switch on and off as you please, and it does seem like that. And if the team is turning the switch on and off, that's not good. That's not good.
And the team isn't clicking on all cylinders now where they have that ability to turn it on and off, right? And as we saw on Saturday, that was the case, right? They did create some opportunities, but some luck that when Casa Pia was away and not our way, a couple of crossbars and goal line clearances, but when the team's not clicking, you can't just expect to turn the switch on and off. And when you do, you get 1-1 results like this here. So something's. I hope that was just a reminder for the guys. Not that they need a reminder to always give it their all and take care of victories when they have it, but maybe it's just a good reminder for them at this stage of the year. Still October here, lots of season to go, and hopefully they can get that rectified going forward here.
Yeah, Jason Gaidola is saying here, you can't coach heart and desire. Absolutely.
No.
That has to come from inside. Each player needs to be motivated, and he has to buy into the coach's ideas and message to be able to perform. But if your heart and desire are not there, it makes your job a lot harder, or the team's job a lot harder. And you, like I said, go ahead, Dave.
No, I was gonna say one player that comes to mind where I'm questioning his heart and desire is Rafa.
I was going there.
He's a guy when everything's clicking and this team is doing well, he's one of the RX factors. You can't deny that when Rafa's on his game, Benfica 9 times out of 10 are usually winning those games. But God, has he been? I'm gonna say he's been awful these last couple of games. I don't know if we have the luxury of being able to sit him on the bench now with a couple of these injuries, but He's a guy that does need to be sat down because he has, for a guy that is known for his pace and his speed, he's showing none of that right now. And I don't know if it's a lack of motivation or desire, but the top class Rafa that we enjoy seeing is not there right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Rafa was one of the guys that I was going to mention in terms of, the heart and desire. I don't know. It's just Rafa is such a odd dude in terms of these funks that he gets to, and it's a lot of it has to do with his mental state, right? And I call him Rafa Bear because from October to April he just hibernates. He just goes and hides somewhere. And I hope that Schmidt is able to see this. It's not acceptable for a guy that's in that poor of form to continue to deserve minutes when there's guys on the bench that could come in. Gedge, Thiago Gouveia is certainly making a name for himself to be able to slot in. Neres, we found out that after the game that he's has some kind of a knee injury, might be a meniscus injury. We don't know for sure how long he's been out. The first prognostic was that he was going to be out until 2024. Now we're hearing that it may not be as bad. I think at the end of the day, I think that they have to assess it. There's magnetic resonance. Is that right? Is that a right word? Resonance?
Ooh, I'm not
Resonance? Magnetic resonance exam that needs to take place to look at the extent of the injury. But I was telling Dave, I don't know if you guys remember, but Nelson Semedo had a similar injury, meniscus injury, and he was out for a good 2 months. So we'll see. We haven't yet heard a definite timeout or absent time for Neres, but certainly it's not encouraging. But the good thing is that we have Di Maria and we have other guys on the bench, and that's the beauty about having a deep bench, albeit some of that depth doesn't equate to quality. Let me read some of the comments that we have here on the chat. Everybody's very lively today. I don't know if people are just eating some sugar. Let's see. Chico Marcelina said we need a Chris Rent Halloween special. Yeah. Saying, let's see, Diogo Reis says, this bar is atrocious. Muric Gilbert. But Diogo, we don't know. I mean, now we know that Ba is injured. He came back from the international break hurt. How long has this injury been plaguing him? Because he's been playing. He's been playing on and off. Zach Silva says 3 center backs. Wow, what a number. Now I can say, see you. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Red Baron saying plantar fasciitis injuries, if really bad, can take up to 12 weeks to fully heal. Yeah, it's bad. It's not something that you could. The only way to heal that is rest. Nothing else. So he's going to be very limited in terms of the work he's going to be able to do with the ball. Brunjil Rodriguez says we just don't have a boss and a brain to lead the team. We have a boss in Otamendi, but I do understand when you mention brain. I mean, sometimes you need a guy in the middle of the park to be controlling what's going on to settle other guys, settle guys down. Zach Silva saying Jorge Jesus come back. No, please no for this. Diogo Reis says João Mário scoring is our problem. He scores and we think he's great. Meanwhile, he's our worst player. I wouldn't say he's worse. He's had moments. I think right now the worst player is Rafa.
No, I was just
aside from Jurasek.
Yeah. For Rafa's struggles, João Mário is getting on the score sheet now, right? Like he had against Lusitania, he scored against Casa Pia, and he was inches away from scoring in today's match too. So if we can get We just need production. I don't care who the hell is scoring.
Yeah.
If we can get some production and light some fires under some guys' asses, I'll take João Mario. I'll take Jurasek. Just put the ball in the net.
Yeah, Diogo Reis say Tino played well outside the PK. Zach Silva corroborates that 90% pass, 90% passing accuracy. Yeah, look, I just Chico Marcelino says flashbacks. I'm having nightmares with this team. Zach says not calling up B team players in favor of the Shitkinush was a big wasted opportunity. I don't know. I don't know if there's real talent in the B team right now because they've been struggling this year, and I don't know if it has anything to do with their coach or not. But yeah, I really don't see anybody on the B team right now that could just come in and do something. Diogo Reis says things could very well get worse for us with these injuries piling up. Diogo Reis also still very little continuity with this team, especially in the midfield and attack, which is why I think Roger Schmidt played so many starters today. And if we don't get going soon, things could get very well gloomy. Red Baron says Thiago will benefit from all these injuries. O azar de uns é a sorte dos outros. A bola cadernos. Otamendi is not a boss. He's always been fake news. Epa! He's only rated because he goes diving and beats his chest. Antonio Silva is the real center back and captain. Epa, pronto. A bola, you got your own opinion, man. I think part of the reason why we renewed with Otamendi was the leadership figure that he is in his team and in his locker room. If you watch that the documentary, the documentary about Benfica's last season, Otamendi was always the center figure in terms of getting guys motivated and getting guys going in the locker room before a game. So I think he is a boss. I don't know, but like you have your opinion and everyone else has theirs. I don't think he's fake news. I think that he's the real deal. Some people may have questioned why we renewed, but with Morato, Silva, and a couple of the Thiago Araújo also. But look, I do think that Otamendi is this team's boss. I don't have any doubts of that, and I think that if you ask a lot of people, they will agree with that. But again, that's your opinion, and I'll gladly accept it. What else? A bola caderna says, mas infelizmente o futebol atual está cheio de imagem e as pessoas dão mais atenção àqueles que parecem que aqueles que realmente são. José Mourinho. That's a quote by José Mourinho? I don't know. But anyway, so key 2 points dropped at Estádio Luz. You never want to drop points at Estádio Luz, especially when you got a run of games that are going to lead you to a matchup on the derby against Sporting, against first place Sporting, and Sporting was able to add 2 points to their lead. So we're not able, not yet, as we record this, to keep that same distance between us and Sporting, which could make that game at Estádio Luz in a few weeks' time extremely important for Benfica. So it's a shame. It's a shame, Dave. Dave, stats on this game so we can move on.
Yeah, a couple of here. It's been 40 years that a Benfica goalkeeper has saved 2 penalties in the same season during Portuguese league action there. And Jurasek came in the 33rd minute, lost the ball 11 times in the 33 minutes that he was in, compared to Bernard, who lost the ball only once in the 64 minutes that he was on. So not good for Jurasek there.
Yeah, there's a lot of people also questioning Bernat. Why isn't Bernat being more involved in the attacking side of the play? And the reason for that is because he can't go the 90 yet. So if he starts doing ups and downs, instead of lasting 60 minutes, which is where and when he got taken out, he's gonna last 40 minutes, and then he's gonna struggle for the rest. Um, so we'll see. I read something on Twitter today that said that this Bernard situation is feeling very, very similar to the Draxler situation from last year. Obviously, the same club on loan, similarities, injury last season, a lot of time out, comes to the team, not ready, still going through some physical build up that he needs. And now we kind of see a Bernat that's not the Bernat that we're used to. So, I mean, could be a coincidence. But certainly we haven't been able to take advantage of Bernat as we had hoped. All right, so after a loss, Dave, there's no better time than to get the team back on the field so they could respond. And they were on the field today against Arouca.
It was a draw, but it felt like a loss of points for sure.
Dave, anything but a win is a loss for me. At
That's
Stadio
true,
Luz,
100%.
playing against Casa Pia, for me is a loss, dude. It's a loss. Loss of points. It's a loss. Sorry.
No, it felt like it. Definitely felt like it after the game. Saturday night was a little bit ruined by it, but yeah,
So
not a good result.
let me ask you something. I'll give you the lineup, and then I'll get your opinion on it. Trubin was in goal. Silva, Otamendi, and Muratu with a three center back setup. Neves, Dinu, João Mario, and Auschnitz, Di Maria, Gedge, and Rafa. What did you think when you saw this lineup? I was sure that they were going to play with three center backs. Steve Santos and I were trading a few messages, and he thought that maybe Auschnitz would go to the right and Muratu would stay on the left. But from the get-go, I thought that it would be those three center backs. What I didn't anticipate, Dave, and you could tell me your thoughts on the lineup, was João Mario being in the middle and João Neves being on the right.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought of it that way. I mean, don't want to really call them desperate times. Like I said, we're still kind of early in the season here, but with these injuries, and we've been clamoring for some changes to the lineup. So I mean, it shows that Roger's able to mend his stubbornness and change up his formations here, right? And especially when we've seen guys like Jurasek struggling, Bernard not fully healthy, and now with the injury with Ba. And I think Schmidt alluded to it here. You've got a guy like Muratu who's in form, itching to get that starting time. So why not switch the formation to get those three guys back there? In terms of João Neves, I guess you could say that it was the head scratcher there, but the guy's been proving us all wrong since he's been called up to the senior squad. So why not try him in a different position and see what we can get out of him at this point?
Yeah, and the way I kind of justified it in my head was that with Di Maria not tracking back, with us not playing with the fullback, right, playing with only three center backs, it made a lot more sense to have João Neves on the right, because João Neves would be able to track back and cover ground and defend at the same time as he was going up. And I don't know if João Mario had that in him. He certainly doesn't have the speed, or he doesn't cover as much ground as João Neves covered. So I kind of, after I thought about it and I was watching the game, I was like, well, maybe that's why he did it, because he really needed somebody to go up and down that wing. On the other side, you had Auschnitz, which was going to be no problem. That's what he typically does. But yeah, I was surprised by the lineup. I was pleasantly surprised, I could say, right? And look, we're playing an Arouca team that has only won one game this season, if I'm not mistaken. And it was, albeit at a up north, smaller pitch, heavy pitch. I thought that we would have enough on this with this team to be able to beat Arouca. And certainly, I liked it. I like Di Maria, Guedes, and Rafa. I think that Guedes could play all three positions in up top, and the fact that we're struggling with center forwards and Musa being out and Cabral having the struggles that he's had so far this season, why not? Let's try Guedes. And oftentimes we saw Guedes, Di Maria, and Rafa switch up on that top line. And we know that those guys all know how to play those three positions, so they're interchangeable. It's not like Cabral, who's a box guy. He just sits on a box, doesn't really go much else, doesn't really look for empty spaces behind guys that are going to free up those spaces. So I liked it. I liked the lineup. I just thought that maybe Neves could have gone in the middle, but I understood the reason why. 26 minutes in, Di Maria free kick, special. Benfica's up 1-0, and nothing too flashy from Benfica up until that point, or even in the first half. But as expected, a team that was dominating this game, but not to the point that you're suffocating Arouca, right? We had possession, we were in charge of the flow of play, but it wasn't the prettiest. And I think that even the team struggled in the first 10 minutes to string some passes together. They kept missing passes, but they settled, and it was an okay half. It was an okay half for a new formation, something that we haven't seen before. So I thought it was okay. What were your thoughts, Dave, that we were going to be able to see this home, or did you think that second half, if we don't put the game away, then we run into another situation where we're going to be against the ropes?
I was going to say I was having a little bit of Casa Pia flashbacks because we got the first goal quick, but then put it into somewhat of a cruise control. Never really looked dangerous going forward. I know you mentioned Gedge there, but I thought he was a little bit wasteful with the opportunities that he had today. I know he's coming off an injury, and he's not maybe fully fit from his layoff and not at top form, but I thought he could have been a little bit more clinical with the chances that he had on top there. But yeah, they never really looked to be clicking in that high gear that we want to see, and we expect this team to perform, especially going forward with the ball there. But I ultimately we ended up getting that second goal from Cabral, and I know he's been getting ragged on, but really nice play, taking the ball pretty much half the field there and putting it on that bottom corner. But so shout out to Cabral, and hopefully, I mean, as much as we rag on him, we just want him to score goals. Like I said, doesn't matter if it's João Mario, if it's Cabral. We just need somebody to get going here and start putting away these chances, because ultimately, I think we've seen that our defense isn't as strong this year. But if we can outscore opponents, hey, we're gonna win majority of these games here. So.
Yeah.
None of these 1-0 stinkers, and start putting in some goals here.
Yeah, and it looked like we came out to play in the second half. With a goal in the 54th minute, which would eventually get called back, and the reason it got called back wasn't for the João Mario offside or whoever. Yeah, João Mario offside, but it was Di Maria when he got the ball. He was offside. That's what the call was. So we got that scratched in the 56th minute. Dave, imagine that, 56th minute. Rogers making moves. Cabral for Di Maria, Tankstead for Guedes, Gouveia for Rafa. He explained in the post-game flash interview that the team had played against Real Sociedad, and there's some guys, some some tired legs, so he decided to manage, which is great. I praise him for that. 74th minute, a goal by Cabral off of Tankstead assist. Dave, who would have? I never thought that I would have those two guys in the same sentence, one assisting the other one scoring a goal. Cabral, which was literally a good, I would say maybe, I don't know, I want to say it in meters, Dave. He was behind the halfway line, but he was a good 3 to 4 meters ahead of his nearest defender. And I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest with you. I'm watching him run, and it's just like slow motion. It's like go, 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 and you see the guys come up on him. And I thought that he was gonna get swallowed up at the end, but he was able to put his body in front of it, and good finish too. Good finish and good for him. And Diogo Reis that says that he's gonna be calling him Artur Cabral going forward. But look, I think there's things that forwards strive on, and the main thing is getting goals. And look, the guy still looks slow as shit, but not every forward is lightning fast. You could have guys that are slow, but know how to position themselves, know where to be, know where the ball is going to go, and they don't need to run on to those balls. They could just be well positioned to strike. And I think that's who Cabral is, albeit he still looks very rusty in terms of his movements. But it's good that he got a goal. It's great for his confidence. It's great for the team, right? Because now they have a guy that is scoring goals. And anyone that could score goals and that has a goal output, anyone is welcome, really. So 2-0 by Benfica in the 74th minute. Bernat came in for Tino in the 77th. In the 86th, Roger Schmidt made his last substitution with Araújo coming in for Silva. And Benfica was able to cruise through the end of the game after that second goal by Cabral. Decent game. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't the flashiest of performances by Benfica, but it's sometimes when you're struggling and you're coming off a bad streak, the most important thing is to be able to get back on the winning column and maybe start your momentum from there. And I hope that that's where Benfica goes. In terms of the new system, I don't know if it's here to stay or if it was something that had to be done as a result of the hand that Roger Schmidt has been dealt in terms of injuries, in terms of guys that were available. But sir, I don't dislike it. I don't dislike it. I think that Ruben Amorim plays with a 3-back setup. But, I mean, this is something that's been worked on for years now. This has always been Ruben Amorim's trademark, was that 3-back line. For Benfica, this is the first time we've seen it. And after, you could make an argument and said, well, is it really the time of the season to be making experiments? Shouldn't we been doing this in the preseason and having these experiments? The way things have been going with Benfica, maybe you should be making experiments right now, because apparently whatever you had on your game plan wasn't working before. So maybe this is a way to go. I don't know. Dave, what do you think? Here to stay?
Just looking at that back line and how we've all been clamoring for Moratu to get some minutes. Why not go with the 3-back? Because Jurasek Bernat combination there is not working. Whether Bernat's not healthy, and we've seen what a healthy Jurasek is doing right now. And then Ba is out, so you gotta somewhat put Arshness in there, and João Vitor doesn't count on this squad there. So for the time being, why not go with the 3 most reliable defenders you've got back there? They all happen to be center backs, so set them back there. And then in terms of the lineup in the middle there, I think I'm just looking at the bench with the injuries that we've got, that lineup should stay the same in the middle there. And I would swap out Cabral for Gedge up front, just to try to get Cabral get him going there and have Gedge as your super sub off the bench. But I'm fine with this formation here going forward for the time being while we deal through the injuries. Only thing, while we it seems like we've gotten bitten by this injury bug at the moment, make sure we got to bubble wrap Di Maria because he's by far and away our best player with quality out of this world. You could still tell even at his older age, this guy is just
Yeah.
top class. So wrap Di Maria in bubble wrap. Make sure he's healthy here.
Yeah, and looking at the players that you have at your disposal, and when you look, okay, well, Ba is not right. Who do we put there? We could put Auschwitz. But now you don't have Nedge. Who do you put on that side, right? So I think it was somewhat of an easy decision for Roger Schmidt. And I got to be honest, I didn't dislike it. Let's just say that. I'm not a big fan of such radical changes. I think that if you are to implement it, you have to find a way to be able to balance the defensive transition. And I think that when you have Auschwitz on one side and João Mario, albeit João Mario a little slower, I think that you're in a better position to be able to balance that defensive transition. Because if you go back to the three center backs and your routines and your automatisms are not right, you're going to be getting beaten down that line each time. And Morato's going to be stretched out coming out to the line. Antonio Silva is going to be stretched out coming out to the line, and then you got guys going through into the middle. So I think it could work, but it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of practice, and we need to make sure that the team stays balanced, especially without fullbacks. But I liked it. I liked it.
Well, our next, not including the Sociedad game, but we have Chaves, Sociedad, and then Sporting. So maybe this is all lead up to getting that formation and familiarized with the squad in preparation for that Sporting match there.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I think that is that. And here's the other thing, right? I think that teams have become so familiar in the way that we play, that they've been able to devise a game plan that's able to kind of nullify some of our points and expose our weak points also. So I think that now we have this different look. Now maybe we're sending a lot of teams to scramble in terms of, okay, what does Benfica look like? What are their movements? What are their combinations? How do they line up? How do they take up spaces? So now you've kind of thrown a monkey wrench in terms of game planning for other teams, because this is a new look Benfica that they're looking at. So I like that. I just hope that if this is the system that's at least here to stay for a couple more games or for whatever amount of time it takes until we get those guys back, if the idea is to go back to the original tactical setup, I think that we need to make sure that we have this system nice and tight. And this could even be, Dave, a plan B for whenever we need to change things up, right? And I've always clamored on here that Benfica does not have a plan B. And I think that sometimes Benfica struggles as a result of not having a plan B. Let's see what some of these guys are saying. Jason Gaidola is saying sometimes the best ability is availability. Bernat still needs to show he's fully fit and healthy. Yeah, agreed. Diogo says, anyone here noticing Di Maria is always trying Olympicos on his corner kicks? Yeah, I've noticed that. And maybe he thinks that the Portuguese league is the quality to be able to get away with that. Jason Gaidola is saying Gedge seems like the old forward. Like the only forward was good enough to play deep and help build up the attack. Yeah, with Gedge, you're going to have that. You're going to have a guy that could press, right? Because it's a guy that's mobile, and a guy that could drop into the flanks to get balls, to be a relief valve if we're being pressured high. I like that. Um, Diogo is still wondering why Benfica spent 20 million on Artur when he wasn't even a Fiorentina starter. Yeah, that is a big question. But I think when you're Benfica and you've made the amount of money that you've made in the past couple seasons, you're dealing in a different market. You're not dealing with the flea market like everyone else. You got the high stakes, and teams are going to get you for it. We I was thinking about this the other day, Dave. We should ask Red Star for some money back, because we were clearly bamboozled by Red Star with this Jurasek buy, and the relationship between the two clubs is so close that I think that Benfica should go and ask for some money back.
Wasn't their coach. Weren't we trying to go after another player
Yeah,
from their squad, and the coach said that Jurasek was the better player anyways. That I don't
I
follow
bet you
that.
that they laugh every time they think about this whole buy. It's just in the same way that we cry. Dave,
And not
good.
that I want to burn the guy either, right? Because he is a hefty investment that we
Yeah,
made, but what we're seeing out of him right now is not good, and
yeah,
it's cost us, as we've seen in the last game there. So
yeah. And
hope he figures it out.
I got to be honest with you, Dave. I was there too. I was on that mindset. I was like, well, all right, well, we went and got him. Need some time to adapt. Maybe he'll turn out into another situation of Bob, because Bob was not great when he came. He's still not the right back that we would hope that but he's okay. He's an upgrade over Gilbert. I think I mean, in terms of technique and knowing how to play the game, he's an upgrade over Andre Almeida for sure. Um, but Jurasek, man, I got to be honest. After what I saw this weekend, I'm thinking, man, I think I'm about done with Jurasek. I don't know. I've given up hope on Jurasek, and I hope that he proves me wrong. But certainly everything that I've seen so far is indicative that we're in the presence of a major, major, major flop for Benfica that we paid a lot of money for. And I
Yeah.
think that just exacerbates the flopness of the situation, Dave. Dave, stats so we can move on.
Well,
Go ahead.
yeah, just before we get into the stats, like people want to always bring up the hidden gems that we hit on, where the Enzos of the world, the Darwins of the world, where we hit the lottery and the jackpots. But sometimes you're gonna buy these lottery tickets and you're not gonna hit the jackpots. So
Yeah.
got to be careful, especially when we're spending 10 million on those lottery tickets. But recap on this game here. Di Maria with his seventh goal of the season, second already from a direct free kick. And Benfica's pretty much got their foot in for the next round of the League Cup,
Yep.
as long as they don't lose by two or more goals to AVS in the next match. They will qualify for the next round.
Yep. Yep. So up next, Keys. We're traveling up north to play Chaves or Keys, however you wanna call them. Saturday, 3:30 local. Remember, we're still Portugal went back an hour this past weekend, and right now we're 4 hours different. If you're in the East Coast or Toronto or up in Mass, we're 4 hours behind. So the game happens at 3:30 local, which is 11:30 here in the East Coast of the U.S. Game will be played at Campo Engenheiro Manuel Branco Teixeira, capacity 5,400, and certainly there will be a very, very Benfica favorable crowd, as always is when Benfica travels up north. Dave, what's Chavs up to this season?
The season not too good. Currently in 14th with 7 points from 2 wins, 1 draw, 7 losses. They've conceded a league high 26 goals through the first 9 games of the season. historically 29 wins, 4 draws, 4 losses in the previous 37 meetings. However, it's always tricky when we go up north. Last season we suffered that 1-0 last
Yeah.
minute defeat with that Otamendi blunder there that almost cost us the championship, but never an easy match up north in Shavs.
Yeah, worst defense in the league, Chavez is, and as Dave mentioned, one of the few points that Roger Schmidt lost domestically last season was the loss against Chavez. I don't know. Every game now is tricky for us, especially up north, especially with how the weather has been in Portugal. It's been raining in Portugal a lot. They've been getting a lot of rain, and up north even more so than down south. So I don't know what the weather will be like up until Saturday, but certainly probably a little bit wetter weather. But yeah, look, it's a game that we need to that you need to win, despite the injuries that we're dealing with, because we need to. First of all, we can't afford to lose any more points ahead of the Sporting game, because we're gonna have a really hard time. And at Real Sociedad, I don't even know if we're gonna be able to get the 3 points there. Certainly, the way the team is playing and understanding that you got to play at their home pitch, it's not. The outlook is not very positive, right? But we need to be able to get to the Sporting game with the same point gap that we have now, so we're able to try to win that game and really gain on Sporting. But certainly another tricky game for Benfica, Dave.
Yeah, it's gonna be tricky. I think the only hope that I have is this is a very poor Shavs uh, that is coming into it. They've have slightly turned it around with their new coach because they, I think, were one of the few teams that had failed to win a game, I think, through the first 6 matches of the season, if I'm not mistaken, but made the coaching change and then got the 2 back-to-back victories. But they are a leaky defense out there. 5-0 defeat last week to Guimarães.
Yeah.
Conceded 4 against Boavista. Conceded 4 to Braga. So
Yeah.
hopefully that just means we're able to get some guys going on the score sheet. Another goal from Cabral would be nice, and get this team clicking here, leading up to Sociedad and Sporting matchups coming up next week.
Yeah, a goal from anyone will be nice, Dave.
Yep, like I said, we're not picky.
Yeah, 26 goals allowed so far this season by Chaves. That is, as I mentioned, the worst defense, and the next worst defense in the league has 20. So they've been beaten up quite a bit, and I think that if you're betting on this game, you go with that over 2.5 for sure.
You know what's going to happen now, right? It's going to be a 1-0.
1-0. Benfica's going to struggle.
Yeah.
The keeper's going to stand on his head and make all kinds of saves. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think that's all we got. Cristiano wasn't here today, so I did most of the talking. Sorry about that. So what do we got next week? We'll be back. We'll cover this Chaves game. We'll look ahead to Real Sociedad, which happens, if I'm not mistaken, on Wednesday, right, Dave?
Wednesday, and it's the early matchup.
So
it's
12.
5:45 in Portugal, so it'll be 12:45.
Yeah,
here.
the time does go back this Saturday night or early Sunday morning, however you want to look at it, if you're here in the East Coast or in the U.S. Or how does it go? The North American continent, does it all go back? I don't know how that goes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. There's a couple of provinces up here that don't follow the daylight savings time, but for the most part, your East Coast, your West Coast
Yeah.
Pacific Coast. They all follow it.
Yeah. Chat, give me your predictions for this game. I'm going to say 2-0 by Benfica, Dave. What do you got?
I was gonna say 2-0. Okay,
You can still
I'll
say it.
go one. I'll go one up. I'll go 3-0 then. Not that I. The only way we get three is because of Shav's terrible defensive records so far, but nothing so far from what I've seen from this team tells me that they're gonna score three. But hey, I love to be proven wrong, so let's go three.
Yeah, what's everybody feeling? Diogo Reis says 3-0 Benfica, let's go. Liberal says I could see 4 or 5-0. Epa! Isso aqui é pau. Isso aqui é pau. Look, at the end of the day, we're Benfiquistas. We got to be optimistic about each game. Each game, I think we sit down and said, we're going to win this. And then the whistle goes and we get deflated. Yeah, so we'll see. But I think that Benfica should be able to. We need to. We desperately need to get that momentum going because of that game against Sporting. And look, a derby is a derby, and oftentimes the team that's worse is the team that wins. And with derbies, everything goes out the window because there's an added motivation to the game. So we'll see. But the important thing is that we got to win these games now. Got to win against Chaves. If you want to do anything presentable, certainly I wouldn't want to be the first team that's ranked or that's in pot 1 that finishes the Champions League campaign with 0 points. I mean, we already hold that record through the first round. Let's get some points on our tally. Jason Gaidola 2-1 Aguish. Cristiano says smash the like button, my friends. Cristiano's here right on time. Liberal saying I'm banking on this team feeling the heat. Actually clicking offensively. Yeah, I hope that it clicks too. Anyway. All right, fellas. That's all we got. Thank you so much for keeping us company. Thank you all for being active in the chat. Appreciate it. Cristiano will be back next week. Chris, don't eat too much candy. Take care, everyone.